Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's me, Laura, and today is Wednesday, and I don't remember which day of the week it is. Like, what's the date? It's October something, maybe the 18th? I don't know. But it's Wednesday, so how y'all doing? I am really good. I'm back with the 911 story. This is about the time that I cried. And there's no crying in 911. And I'm going to tell you about the time that I cried. Here we go. So it wasn't like a big bad cry, nothing like that. But it's actually towards the end of my time at 911. I took a call. It was a medical call. And it was an old lady. I mean, I answered the phone, you know. I have a recording, so it's like 911, what's the address of the emergency? And you know, she tells me the address. She gives me the phone number, and I say, okay, tell me exactly what happened. And she says my sister is passed out in her chair and she won't wake up. And I was like, okay. So I go through, you know, I know what the call type is, you know, unconscious person, and so I start asking her questions. Now, this is something about 911. If you ever have had to call, we ask a lot of questions. And that's not because we are trying to ask you trivia questions so you can win that jackpot or anything like that. It's because we need to know how to help treat the patient before the paramedics arrive. So if ever you need to call 911 and you get mad because they're asking you lots of questions, just know that we're not asking you lots of questions just because we feel like it. It's our job to ask lots of questions, and that's absolutely necessary. So anyway, I asked her, how old is are you right there with her? Yes. Okay. How old is she? She's 100. What? 100? You crazy? Okay, so 100? All right. So I say she's 100. She says she's 100. She says she awake. No, she's not awake. Is she breathing? Yes, she's breathing. So I'm like, okay, breathing is good. So I go ahead and start asking her these other questions, following the protocol. And, you know, so then usually when people are not, oh, that hurts. Usually when people are not, awake and they're breathing, that they're unconscious, sometimes you can hear them in the background, especially she said she was right there next to her. And so in my mind, I'm like, I can't hear this lady at all. So I tell my caller, I say, hey, I want you to get as close to her as you can. I want you to put your ear at her mouth and tell me what you feel or what you hear. And she says, I don't feel or hear anything. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, we need to try to start CPR on this lady. And so I told her, I said, okay, man, what I need you to do is get her out of the chair and let her flat on her back, and remove any pillows or anything like that. She was like, well, I can't move her. Like, I can't. She was like, I'm old. And I was like, okay, I want you to grab her by her ankles. And she was sitting in a recliner. I said, I want you to grab her by her ankles and pull her out of the chair. I said, don't worry about hurting her or anything like that. Just grab her ankles and pull her out of the chair. And she said, okay, I'm gonna put the phone down because I need both hands. I said, okay, that's fine. So she puts the phone down, and I can hear her just like, I can hear her like really like struggling, like really pulling and everything like that on the phone. And you know, 911, like that call probably wasn't that long, but in 911 time it seems like, you know, for like ever or whatever. And okay. So it was maybe only like 30 seconds or a minute, but it felt like forever for me. So I can only imagine how they had to feel. And so she finally got back on the line, and she was like, ma'am, I cannot get her out of the chair. And so I'm just, you know, my heart just kind of dropped because I just really wanted to be able to help. And so I look around the room because they're at like it's not an assisted living place, but it's a place for seniors to live, like independent living. But there's always someone there, like at the front desk or something. So I stand up and I look around the room that I'm in, and there is nobody. Correction, everybody is on the phone. I have never, ever looked around and seen everybody completely busy. You know, the PD dispatchers, they can't answer the phones. They have to stay on their radio channel the whole time. There was no one there that could answer the phone. And at that moment, my eyes filled up with tears and my heart was just so heavy. No tears would come out. My eyes just had got red and like filled with water. And I started praying. I was just like, you know, God, don't let this lady die. Don't let this lady die. Like, she needs CPR and we can't even get her out of the chair. And so about 30-45 seconds passed, and I saw one of my coworkers get off the phone. So I get up, and I had this lady muted because she's trying to still get her out of the chair again. I get up and I go across the room and I say, hey, can you look on the unconscious person call that's going to this place? Can you look at that call and please call inside and get somebody to that apartment to help get this lady out of the chair? She needs CPR right now. And he looked at me. He was like, why are you crying? I was like, I don't know. And he just bust out laughing. And I kind of laughed too. And then at that moment, let me tell y'all how good God is. At that moment, I heard, I didn't see that, but I heard that. And I said, what is that? And the lady got on the phone. She said she just started breathing. And then I heard a knock, fire department at the door. And the paramedics arrived. That is how good God is. Now, I don't know if the lady lived or not, but she had started breathing on her own, and she did have a pulse. And, you know, I don't ever want to know. I don't like to know unless I have to actually give chest compression, like instructions for chest compressions. And I'll basically know, because if they live, they'll give me an award. And if they don't live, then I don't get it. So that's pretty easy to figure out. But yes, that was the time that I cried in 911. Maybe tomorrow I have a better, happier story.